Thanks for listening to the Rock Guitar Confidential podcast with Ryan and Scott. You know, I don't think there's anything I've ever experienced in my life that's prepared me for the thing that's about to happen. Wheelchair Ozzy. Can't handle it. We'll talk about it next. I think Eddie Vedder was always meant to bring the sadness, but to you and me, he kind of brought it in a different way.
Well, I had thanks to Vedder, I had a new experience.
Oh no, that sounds terrible.
Yeah, well,
that's never ended well. That sentence has never ended well.
Right.
Thanks to Vedder, I had a new experience.
Right. Well, I mean, whether it's a new good experience or bad experience.
That's what I mean.
So there's a YouTuber named Wings of Pegasus he does vocal analysis of live performances, right?
Sure.
So he'll isolate the stem of like the vocals.
So he's got like a board recording or something like that, or
something. I'm not sure. Whatever his source material is, it could just be whatever the artist releases or whatever is like floating around. There was a big controversy with a dude named Ken Tamplin, who's like a Christian rock singer that runs a vocal academy.
Oh, I've never heard anything about this.
Yeah, vocal coach. He's in some Christian bands. Like the name of his band is Shout.
Okay.
And he sells his vocal academy course on YouTube or whatever. Well, anyway, I guess he did some like big Christian rock festival.
Okay.
And he pulled one of those. He got caught using backing tracks.
So it's like he's got the mic out to the audience and then the vocal comes in, kind of thing.
It was actually. Funny you should mention. So he uses one of those like headset vocal mics. Yeah, like the Madonna vocal mic.
See, Kip Winger could do it because he was playing bass the whole time too. So that made sense for Kip Winger.
Ken Tamplin was holding a guitar.
Oh.
Oddly enough,
I guess that's vaguely okay. But
fun trivia. There's a Ken Tamplin album called "Axe to Grind," and the single off of that, it's called like "Living for My Lord" or whatever. I mean, look, I'm a huge Striper fan, I love Early Brides, so I've gotten, and you know what, Tourniquet's great, Mortification's great. There are Christian metal bands that I actually straight up like.
Yeah.
Right, like no caveats.
Yeah. But Striper, of course, being chief among them, right?
Yeah, Striper's great. They're still great.
Yep.
But man,
pretty damn strong catalog too. I have to say. Even their later period stuff is still really good.
A strong growing catalog.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm super stoked that Oz Fox is alive.
Yeah, I mean, I thought we were going to lose him a couple years ago. I mean, as soon as that diagnosis came, I'm like,
brain cancer is not terribly survivable. And
partial lobotomy and stuff like that too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, they had to go in there and take parts of his brain out to do. I mean, it's either that or not have Oz Fox. So
right.
But the fact that he's even out touring with them still is pretty.
That's
incredible.
wild.
You know what I mean? That's
good for Oz.
Yep.
So
great player, man. Awesome guitar.
So when I say that, like Ken Tamplin's catalog is fucking hokey, it's not just because he's a Christian artist. He is like some of Ken, and I think he used to be. He's a great singer. It's just he's getting older.
Oh, okay, so he can't hit the high pitches anymore.
Right. But but he's also like ragged on people on his channel for using backing tracks a bunch.
Yeah, well, because obviously.
So that's kind. So I think that's kind of why he's getting the shade.
I'm surprised he hasn't done everything. Okay, I'm gonna sing everything, but just do it all in like drop B or something.
Living for my Lord. Well, but see, then if he sang "Living for My Lord" in like deep voice, then like we might think it was Lord Satan.
I guess that's true.
And then it would be cooler. So I say,
there's lots of it. Could be Zeus, could be Odin.
Yeah, right, totally.
Yeah, I mean,
Baal,
Ra. I mean, there's all kinds of different lords you could be willing to.
Bahamut.
Yeah, exactly.
Lord Belial. I think that's a black metal band.
Kardashian, whatever it is. You know what I mean? It's
then it would suck.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
I'd have to peace out at that point. I was
fair enough.
I was with you for all the other deities, but yeah.
I'm just saying.
So anyway, so this is the same guy. So Tamplin was in the middle of like a Christian rock hard 2024.
What, really? Okay.
Like whatever. Some rock. It was probably there's a Christian rock festival called Cornerstone. So he was probably at Cornerstone. I could be wrong.
Okay.
It could be some other tour, whatever. Anyway, and so
I just got to plead ignorance, man. I don't know anything about this.
there's a like a specific spotlight part of the song
It's like his vocals like kind of
super high thing, right? And he kind of like, you can just tell that he kind of like missed his cue, but like the vocal happened anyway.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty cringy.
You're really playing with fire if you're doing that, because at some point that's going to happen, especially doing enough live shows. You can't always be that perfectly synced up. Do you know what I mean? It's
totally. And again, I think he gets the shade because he's ragged on people for using backing tracks. So it's the hypocrisy angle, right?
He's right to rag on people for using backing tracks for sure. But that being said,
then he goes and uses a backing track. So like I'm
pretty indefensible. But
yeah, I'm just telling the audience that those are the facts.
But nobody these days though, everyone's waiting to pounce for everything though. Yeah, that's so true. Like if even if you went out there and sang, let's say you went out and sang live, but it was a little flat or something, like, oh man, he's really losing it. The people's looking to talk shit about anything. You know what I mean? So
right,
yeah, he just gave himself a big opening to have shit talked at him.
That's right. And I mean, playing live is a different animal than when you get to do 1,000 takes in your studio.
Yeah, exactly.
But so here I'll throw Tamplin a bone.
Okay.
Here's why everyone should listen to "Livin' for My Lord" by Ken Tamplin. It's probably, I mean, it's one of the last opportunities to hear Mark St. John.
Oh, he played on that?
On a recording. Yeah, he's got the solo, if not all the guitars, but he definitely has the solo on that song.
Was that from back in the day? This is like pre...
Yeah, this is like, I think this is like 89 or 90.
Okay, so it's way back. Okay.
Yeah. Well, for that track, right? Yeah. For Mark St. John on that track.
I had no idea. Yeah.
I think it might be a little earlier, 88. So I'm just going to say 89. 89 feels right. I could be off a year or two, but late
88, 89, 90, kind of all in that same zone.
Right. Yeah. Like pre-grunge.
I'd even go like 91, like from 88 to 91, kind of all feels the same.
Right. Yeah.
It's funny.
before the horrors,
before the comet hit. Yeah,
you're right, before the comet hit. Yes,
yep, exactly. People who don't know, Mark St. John was one of the guitar players in Kiss. I think he came after Vinnie Vincent, I want to say.
Yeah, after they fired Vinnie. Yeah. Well, so he only did one album, Animalize.
Yeah. Great guitar player, monster shredder dude. I mean, definitely modernized the lead playing. I mean, along with Vinnie too.
Yeah, Vinnie was a better songwriter though. There's some good tracks on Animalize, but like the Gene tracks are fucking horrible.
Isn't it Lick It Up on that one, right?
No, I mean that's on Lick It Up.
Oh no, Heaven's on Fire. Heaven's on Fire is on that one, I think, right?
Yes, Heaven's on Fire is on. Yeah, which is
actually a cool song. I like that song.
Which is an Eric Carr song.
Is that right?
Yeah, the drummer wrote it.
That's crazy. Well, I mean, the Kiss went through a period there in the 80s where they decided they needed to kind of modernize. They couldn't be like the 70s guitar guy anymore. They didn't need like the pentatonic blues licks.
Well, they were trying to keep up with trends, and it just so happened the trend
and
right.
Stuff. Yeah, they're trying to get like a guitar hero in there.
Just what was cool is that being awesome at guitar was the trend.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, think about that, folks.
Well, that trend really started in the early 60s and lasted all the way till like 92.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's like that was a trend, lasted a good almost 30 years. You know what I mean? So it's, and that trying to explain to people, like, it's so funny. My students look at me like I'm like some kind of like just lunatic about how just absolutely sad it is. Like what happened in the grunge apocalypse is tragic. It's like so tragic.
Yeah.
It's like,
but you know what? It's tragic only in America. America.
Yeah, but that being said, like a lot of those bands, their primary audience was in America. You know what I mean? And so they basically had, oh, you guys are awesome and everything, and you're really just as great as you've ever been. But we decided this other thing's what we like, so we're not going to listen to you anymore. Yeah, we're not going to promote you. We're just going to drop you like a hot potato. So good luck with that vending machine job or whatever you have going on. That was, and then these are like monster guitar players and monster singers and just incredible performers and great songwriters and stuff who all of a sudden just had no career.
Elite talent.
Because somebody just decided, well, we're going to do this other thing. And it's not so important that you get a guitar anymore. You can just get whoever.
All the more tragic for Mark St. John. Yeah. Because, so it was said that, so he went out on tour to promote Animalize.
Yeah.
But only played, I think, 4 shows.
Huh.
Like, they brought Bruce Kulick out on tour with them as a backup. Now, St. John said he had like a certain kind of like arthritis that was...
Yeah, I heard about some kind of injury or something, or was it just a...
Yeah, I don't really know. He had serious drug problems later in his life with methamphetamine. Like he eventually like went to prison and got stabbed by with a pencil by another inmate.
Oh, wow.
Because he like ratted somebody out while he was in jail or whatever. Then he died a little bit later. It's really tragic. Like,
yeah.
So
talk about falling from like where the heights of your dreams are. Oh my God. I mean, it's
right. Like, I mean, almost literally 15 minutes of fame. It's pretty. So after Kiss, he he put together a band with his brother called White Tiger with a guy named Daniel Donato who claims he sang for Black Sabbath. But I think that was, again, this is the 80s, right? So Black Sabbath like had a few different singers kind of come, like not all the singers that walked through the door actually finished an album with Sabbath.
Yeah,
right?
or toured with them or whatever. Yeah,
right.
Ray Gillen's like that. Ray Gillen from Badlands. He was with
Yep.
Sabbath for a short time, and I don't know if it's a few rehearsals, maybe like a show or something. I mean, that's.
I'm glad you mentioned he recorded the Eternal Idol.
Oh, is that right?
So I mean, eventually they did that with Tony Martin, who, as everyone knows, is one of my favorite Sabbath singers, hugely underrated.
Yep.
But I think on YouTube now you can find versions of those same tracks, like The Shining,
with Ray Gillen.
with Ray Gillen on vocals.
Ray Gillen's a monster singer, man.
Was a monster singer.
Yeah, I mean, the stuff he put out was incredible. I mean,
yeah, I mean, nobody should ever bring their wife or girlfriend around his ghost. Because you never know what's going to happen. Because then they might get ghost AIDS.
Yeah, it's true. Well, man, that's actually, it's really tragic what happened to him too. Actually,
it's so tragic,
yeah.
dude. You know what? This is turning into the like rock and roll tragedies episode.
Well, Bruce Kulick though came out of that, and Bruce Kulick was awesome, and he made a lot of great records with Kiss, and
he still is awesome.
I'm a big fan of Bruce Kulick. I think he's great. Really a pro. I think that's the thing that Kiss.
Yeah.
He's someone who's more of a modern guitar player, but who's also a pro. You
Yep.
know what I mean? Who they could just rely on, who's going to show up and do his stuff the way he's supposed to do it. You know what I mean?
Right. He's not going to be hammered.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not getting wasted after the gig. He shows up on time. He plays his part. You need a solo for the album. He cuts it.
Yep. Good. Does a great solo. Give you a couple different versions. Find exactly what you want. Play it the same live.
Yep.
It's just, a pro. I think there's something. So he's not the greatest guitar player who's ever been in the world. He's very, very good. He's
great
terrific.
blue collar, hard hat.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
he's a guy who's really good and great performer, had a cool look, had a cool style to his playing. Yeah.
Yep.
He's just, he's someone to be lauded. You look up to that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I did when I was a
Shout
kid.
out Bruce Kulick. You're my guitar player from Kiss.
That's right.
Yeah.
Man, I think I really like Vinny's songwriting.
Yeah, Vinny's good. I like Invasion too. I thought that was good too. I think I prefer the Kiss stuff with Bruce though, as far as the songs. I'll be honest with you. I really liked Crazy Nights and Hot in the Shade and stuff like that. So,
well, that's when they had outside songwriters coming in, right? Like again, Holly Knight for Hide Your Heart.
There was definitely stuff that you can tell was riffed based on what Bruce was doing. There wasn't an outside songwriter bringing in some of those tunes. You know what I mean?
Again, I'll throw some shade at Gene. You can tell which ones like. Not just because Gene's singing, but because the songs fucking suck.
Yeah, it's true. Gene's songs are no good.
Like "Burn, Bitch, Burn" is terrible.
Yeah, I think
it's just not a good song.
Well, I think it's a title that sounds badass in rock and roll. Like, yeah, burn, bitch, burn. Yeah, that kind of thing. But
but it's so bad.
Yeah, I know. And the melodies and the lyrics are just terrible. I agree. I think Paul's stuff was much better. I agree.
I know everyone's supposed to like Ace's solo album the best, but I like Paul's solo album the best.
I have to stay agnostic because I don't know anything about any of those. But I do know that Ace Frehley's Comet was very mediocre. That would say that.
Yeah,
too
many covers. Although I love Ace singing "Do Ya."
I can't. There's not really any song that really struck me like, wow, that was awesome.
New York Groove has grown on me.
I guess. But isn't that off the solo album though, right?
Yeah, I'm just saying Ace. But you know what? Probably my favorite classic Kiss. Definitely my favorite classic Kiss song is "Shock Me."
Okay,
Straight up,
not Cold Gin.
"Shock Me's" better.
Okay,
I think it's Ace's shining moment. Like as a he sings the song. He the guitar riff. The guitar riff is iconic and has been it's been aped all over the place. Shit, I've stolen it for stuff.
No, I don't think that Ace was bad or anything, but Ace was very much a 70s guitar player.
Definitely.
That's the thing. That's the thing. And then in 1984, they had to have someone who's like an Eddie Van Halen or Steve Vai kind of thing. They couldn't have like the 70s guy.
Yeah,
that's why all those like Vinny came in and Mark St. John and Bruce Kulick.
Yep.
They needed. We need you to have the whammy bar. We need like a graphic, like a super strat. And you have to do
you need to tap.
And you have to do tapping and harmonics and stuff.
Yep.
And that just wasn't something that Ace was going to be able to do. So
right.
I mean, if he did, it'd be incredibly disingenuous. Like, okay, this is. It's funny. I actually noticed that too. Like Mark Kindle from Great White, because I think Mark Kindle from Great White's actually more of an Ace Frehley kind of guitar player.
Oh, definitely.
But there's a lot of parts in a lot of the great classic Great White albums where he's doing like a whammy dive or a tapping thing, and you just can tell that the producer's like, okay, man, we need a whammy dive here, and it's like,
right, we need you to do that. Yeah,
because it's got to sound modern. You know what I mean? It can't sound like the 70s. You know what I mean? And I'm very aware of it when I hear him playing. Like, okay, here's his like I'm modern, guys. Look at me. I'm playing a graphic super strat and I'm tapping.
Here's a bar drum.
Yeah, exactly. But it was not. It was. It's completely like. I mean, I love that stuff, but that's not. That's not like him being authentic. Does that make sense?
It's not authentic.
Yeah, it's him basically being. I'm going to try and sound modern now. I'm going to show you. I'm really still modern. I'm really modern.
Yeah.
Here's a pinch harmonic and a whammy dive. You know.
And yes, folks, the guitar players of the '80s were authentic in their playing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Van Halen did that stuff, but that was integral to who he was as a human being. And same with Vi and Satriani and all those guys.
It's their voice.
You know, Betancourt. You name it, all those guitar players. That's that whammy stuff. Is like, Lukather. You name it. All the different guitar players from that time period. That was not inauthentic. But a guy like Mark Kendall, which he knows ever since when he's now touring with Great White, he plays like a PRS or like a Les Paul. He's not playing the guitar the whammy bar, and that's something I'm very conscious of that when I see that. It's like, okay, this is not what you would have done if you had your druthers. You would have done something more along the lines of like Paul Kossoff.
If you had your druthers, where are my druthers? Where have my druthers gone?
I left them in the 70s.
Oh, druther, where art thou?
But, I mean, I wouldn't have minded if he'd done a cool solo that was kind of 70s, because that would have been more of what he was doing. You know what I mean? That's more, and I like that, the songs and the riffs of that band a lot, and I think he's a very tasteful guitar player. Yeah. You know, I mean, I think he's really good at what he does, but he's not like I would never looked at Mark Kendall, even with the whammy dives and tapping, and thought, man, he's a shredder. Kind of like Mick Mars is like that too. He's totally a shredder. Like, no, you can tell it or not.
It's more meat and potatoes. Yeah. Attitude guy.
Similar thing though. Throw the whammy up, wow, to kind of make it like this is more modern. I can tell that's not something that was authentic. That was more because I mean, Ace Frehley was like 10 years older, not Ace Frehley, I'm sorry. Mick Mars is probably like 10 years older than Eddie Van Halen. Yeah. So it's one of those things like he'd already established himself as who he was as a guitar player before Van Halen came out. You can tell that those guys were like reacting to Van Halen, like, oh shit, I gotta do something that kind of sounds a little bit Van Halen-ish, or else I'm gonna get left behind. Yeah. That kind of thing,
Speaking of guitar players who are slowly turning into trees, sorry, Mick. I think his medical condition is horrible. But, The knock on Bruce Kulick when he joined Kiss was his stage presence, right? He would like stand still too
stiff,
much. Right. So they nicknamed him Spruce Kulick.
Oh, good Lord. Could be because he was carrying massive wood, though.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
I mean, I think damn him for wanting to play guitar accurately. My God. Yes. How dare he? I care about musicianship. You know what I mean? It's like, I know.
So my new experience.
But by the way, that's why Van Halen was so amazing, because Van Halen could like jump across the stage and slide on his knees and nail every freaking note in harmonic. I don't know how he did it.
Yeah, he was superhuman.
Yeah, he was. He's like a god. You know
Total god tier.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry.
No, that's okay. We have to give praise to Lord Eddie, exactly. King Edward.
King Edward. Yep. Exactly.
Yes. So my new experience with Vedder.
Okay. It sounds like something that to blur your face out when talking about it.
Right, yeah. I'm wearing a sock over my head right
like
now.
Just talking like, okay, now can you tell me what happened?
Yeah. And the interrogation. Can you tell me where Vedder touched you?
Exactly.
So this Wings of Pegasus podcaster he's a professional vocalist, music producer, right? Okay. And he'll take these these clips or audio or audio video clips, whatever it is, whatever's trending on the interwebs. And he'll identify if the artist is using a backing track live or not, right?
And this is just live. It's not about them doing like thousands of overdubs or pitch correcting in the studio. This is just live stuff he's focusing on.
Mostly, yeah. I think, and I mean, because we all know that like studio stuff is auto-tuned to hell.
Well, it depends on who you listen to.
Right. Too much of it is auto-tuned all to hell.
Anything in the pop world is definitely essentially auto-tuned and all this.
Right.
Standard,
and again, middle finger to new country.
Yeah. That just had to be said.
It has to be. Well, I just have to keep reminding people.
Okay, so we said grunge apocalypse. We talked about how new country sucks. So we're really staying on brand today.
We are staying on brand.
We are staying in our comfort zone. You know what I mean?
Well, you've got to repeat a message enough.
Eddie Van Halen's a god. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, it's a...
That's good.
Sucked. Yeah.
We actually have a checklist here.
Yeah,
folks.
Exactly.
So on this recent video, right? I guess unfortunately, Pearl Jam is releasing new music, and there's people that think that they're like yum yum yum, give me more shit. Consume it. So he analyzed this like live performance, and like typically when this YouTuber guy does it, he catches someone using a backing track. Well, in this case, Eddie Vedder was clearly not using a backing track.
Yeah. Which is to be lauded. That's good. That's what you should do. Yeah.
And so here's the weird experience. Like, I was actually disappointed because the vocal track was so fucking bad
You knew it was live.
Yeah.
He said, fuck it, I'm going to do it live.
It's funny. Like he actually sounds worse without the backing band.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an achievement.
I mean, the song's terrible too, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't get. I mean, is it just you slap the word Pearl Jam on something and people will just go, oh yeah, I'll download that right now, or not? Don't.
Oh yeah, well,
That's funny. That's our revenge. They're downloading shit. They're just going to stream it on Spotify for a thousandth of a penny.
Yes. Well, as we've said on this podcast before, Pearl Jam is the band that you think you're supposed to like.
Yeah, it's like what the cool people like, whatever. Yeah.
I don't even think it's the cool people anymore. I think it's just one of those intrinsic, like, yeah, everybody likes Pearl Jam, so I will tell people I like Pearl
You know what
Jam.
though? I think Nirvana is the king of that. Yeah. I mean, because whenever I tell people how much I despise Nirvana, they always seem shocked, like aghast at me.
Right.
What do you mean?
But you're supposed to like Nirvana.
Exactly. I might say they're the worst thing. They're the band most responsible for the death of rock music. You know what I mean? And people look like, what? What? They don't understand. They can't get their head around because exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, again, MTV and the record companies are
conditioned
responsible.
to think that band's great. Well, no, it's even worse now because we got like 30 years on. So now we're supposed to really think they're the greatest thing ever. You know, they're right out there with like Led Zeppelin, dude. You know, that kind of thing. And
imagine if you're a person who's like a Post Malone fan. And then, which I can't. And then you're like, Post Malone's bringing back Nirvana. That's a band I'm supposed to like.
You know, the one thing I'm clinging to is I think that like Post Malone has like cultural relevance in 10, 9, 8. I can kind of sense that everywhere about him. Like,
well, it's funny. Like until he showed up in my video game, which and I murdered a few Post Malones last week too, so that's really good.
Doing God's work,
totally, man. Yeah, I thought his cultural relevance was maybe fading.
That's what I mean. I can feel it. The countdown's happening.
But now he's doing stuff like video game tie-ins and like.
Well, that's exactly what I'm saying. Like that's a sign the music ain't going so hot. You know what I mean?
Maybe it's like a last desperate attempt at relevancy to like. Maybe he's so pissed, like his revenge on the world is to assist in bringing back Nirvana. That's at least coherent. I don't have the cognitive dissonance, right?
I don't think that's a possibility, though.
Like as the Balrog is like falling into the abyss, right?
He grabs Gandalf's leg and throws
right. He grabs Gandalf's leg with his whip and then pulls him under too. So like maybe that's Post Malone, right?
I don't think either Nirvana or Post Malone have that kind of power. They're much more like an angry orc who falls off the Tower of Orthanc, and as the Aquarian of the Isengard is happening,
this is a fun thing. Like how to interpret the grunge apocalypse in
the grunge apocalypse
Lord of the Rings in
grunge
Tolkien
apocalypse
terms.
is the return of the Dark Lord and the what they call the spoiling of the Shire, that kind of thing. That's the
end when Saruman fucks everything up while the hobbits are out having an adventure.
Exactly. So that's really what the grunge apocalypse is. And then we are waiting for the return of the king, which is Aragorn's going to come back and reform the kingdoms of Gondor and Arnor and establish power in the middle of the rule of men.
Wait, but didn't the raising of the Shire occur when Aragorn was returning to?
Yes.
Didn't he get all that?
That was the last little bit of getting rid of what Sauron had destroyed. You know what I mean?
So you're saying that
clearing Nirvana and Post Malone is like the scouring of the Shire.
Scouring of the
Shire. The shower too. We should do that too. Scour your shower.
Everyone to prevent So to prevent mildew and Post Malone building up in your shower.
Exactly, which happens. It totally happens.
Right.
You turn around, just Post Malone. What the hell, man?
Fuck.
I thought I got rid of you.
Post Malone's.
No, it's. I think that's this is what it is. I think that's a very apt analogy. The dark.
That is pretty good.
Yeah, but I don't thank you. Yeah,
nice. All right. Very good.
I know that Lord of the Rings knowledge would come in handy.
Receive our cease and desist from the Tolkien estate any day now.
Well, we aren't like using actual line. Scouring the Shire is the name of one of the chapters.
Hey, you know what? Disney doesn't own it, so we're safe.
Yeah. No, Warner Brothers owns it. You think Warner Brothers is some kind of like saint?
No, actually, you know what? I will forever despise Warner CEO David Zaslav for canceling the best show on television a couple of years ago.
Raised by Wolves?
Yes, Raised by Wolves. I cannot forgive him. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a wasteland. I'm actually in the process of doing some serious trimming, like getting rid of some of my streaming services.
Totally,
because it's like there's nothing I'm that excited. I mean, I find myself never watching anything. It's like I got all these streaming services, and it's like, I'm just watch the Kings game.
Like, you know what? I just started reading Marty Friedman's book.
Oh yeah, you told me about this.
Yeah, so I'm on chapter 3 now.
All right,
but
very cool.
so we're like going through his childhood right now.
Yeah, very cool.
Some very funny like childhood anecdotes. I won't spoil them. Everyone should go buy Marty Friedman's book.
Yeah, real guitar player, guy who really
Marty, if you're listening, please come on the podcast and you can talk about your book. That'd
anytime.
be great.
Open
Anytime,
invitation,
man,
absolutely.
anytime.
So speaking of that, we're kind of digging into the darkness here. We're going to take some light. We'll go move to the light, and then we'll go back to the darkness at the end.
Well, just generally speaking, though, broadly, I like darkness.
I know, but we're going to I'm going to drag you to the light with me for a moment, and then we'll go back into the darkness.
Okay, just before I turn to dust or I get skin cancer or something, because like it's already like too sunny for me today.
We're talking about like all these dangerous, horrible things like Eddie Vedder existing and stuff like that. So, but now there's some good music that's just dropped, and I actually want to let everyone know about a new release that's coming out from the artist Joe Holmes, the guitar player Joe Holmes, who you probably know from playing with David Lee Roth and with Ozzy, and he did the Down to Earth album with Ozzy and toured Osmosis and Down to Earth with him.
And Visual Lies with Lizzie Borden.
Exactly. Monster guitar player, incredible songwriter. Anyway, he's got some new releases. He just put out 2 new songs, which everyone needs to go check out. And it's incredible stuff. I mean, it's so well written, it's so well composed, and then also everyone should go check out Pharmakos, which is really the same project. He had a different name for it. The album he released a couple years ago was called Pharmakos. It was self-titled.
Whenever I hear Pharmakos, I think it's like a brand of Greek yogurt.
Exactly. It sounds like it would be, and probably delicious. But it's delicious music. So listen to that, and then go check out the newest one he just dropped was his music video for the song Deadfall. So Joe Holmes' Deadfall. If you want to get just a kick in the pants with great songwriting, great vocals, great guitar playing, great riffing, great dynamics,
great solo.
It's everything that you want from rock music, and it's just so killer. And then Ryan just hit.
It's very Sabbathy.
It is. It's very Sabbathy, but mixed with like Ozzy kind of solo. It's got a little bit Diary of a Madman mixed in with some Sabbathy like doominess.
It's Mike Borden on drums from Faith No More, but
Robert
also
Trujillo, right?
Yep, Trujillo.
I can't remember the name of the singer. Like that, I gotta go dig it up. He's a great singer. The guy singing with
I don't know, man. I mean, he looks like he could be related to like King Duran.
Yeah, well, he actually sang on the Pharmakos stuff too. So that's really all the same project. You know, it's all
Got
those
it.
guys.
So the new single is probiotic. It's low in fat,
exactly right.
high in protein.
Yep.
Yeah, nice.
You make it, put your fruit in there. It's really the best thing you can have for it.
Hell yeah.
So check out Pharmakos. Check out Joe Holmes. There is incredibly great music being made these days. You just have to go find it. It's not going to find you. You have to go find it, and we're going to help you find it by going to that. And Ryan actually let me know about another band that's really great. Go ahead and the floor is yours, my friend.
So they just released an album in 2024, which isn't too long ago, called Eliminated. The band is called Saber Tiger.
All right.
And they're fucking awesome.
Yeah, they are great.
And of course, they're from...
I'm going to say Estonia.
Guess again.
Finland.
That would be not surprising. Guess again.
Greenland?
Greenland, USA.
Gulf of America.
Right. Yeah. Right.
I don't know.
No, this is music from
Ecuador.
This is music from outside
Argentina.
It's music from
Chile.
It's music from outside the idiocracy.
I just tell us.
Japan, of course, folks.
Ryan's into
Where
a band
else?
from Japan. I can't believe it.
I know, it's crazy. They still like good music there, but yeah, Saber Tiger.
Really good stuff.
It's badass. It reminds me a lot of the modern Anthem albums.
Yeah, to me, when I hear it, it just strikes me as like a cross between like a thrash band, like maybe Megadeth, but with a little bit of Dio tendencies into it. It's got a little Dio, a little Megadeth, a little bit more melodic,
Queensryche too.
A little bit more melodic.
It's
than
definitely
that,
more melodic, but yeah.
It's got some thrashiness to it too, and but it's got heavy melodic moments. It's definitely not death metal. It's definitely more in the kind of power metal-y kind of world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But really, really cool stuff. Great guitar, great dynamics. Really cool. A couple of the songs that Ryan was just playing me have got like these really cool dissonant chords, but they're really dissonant in a really pleasant way where it really adds to the melodicism and the depth of the harmony. You know, it's just something that's really cool. That, by the way, no one's ever mentioned that about Pearl Jam. Oh man, how the dissonance really adds to the depth of the harmony and the melodicism. No one's ever said words like that describing Pearl Jam music, just so everyone knows.
I love it when all those notes are just like unintentionally flat.
Yeah, exactly. And the same droning chords over and over again and stuff.
Right.
You know, it's like, but that's real, man. It's so real.
So authentic.
Yeah, I know. I praise
your authenticity.
But there is really great music. That's like I try to explain to people a lot of times because, especially, I mean, really, it's not even related to any particular age. Like some older students really feel this way, some younger students feel this way. Everyone seems to be kind of trapped in this idea that like all the great music was made in like the 70s and 80s. Really hasn't, or maybe if you're generous, the early 90s. Like nothing really good's come out since.
Well, it's just America. If you get outside of America,
but
then,
we have the internet. We have access to everything everywhere.
That's what I'm saying.
And I always tell people, like you got to just go actively look for great new bands.
Yeah, seek out bands from other cultures.
Well, there's even great American bands. There's not great bands coming from America. There definitely are. You have to.
Where are they? Besides Ex Aegis.
Well, Ex Aegis, of course. That's the biggest one. I mean, if I would throw in like bands like Steel Panthers and other bands from America, it's freaking awesome.
It's fun. I mean, Steel Panther is awesome, but my only reservation about Steel Panther is that they're a satire.
Well,
right?
no, they're basically don't take themselves or anything seriously, which is really what I respect about them. But their songs are serious. They're playing and their songwriting is serious.
The playing is totally great. I agree.
That's not. It's just that they are ridiculous, but that's just them being authentic to who they are. You know what I mean? That's
and I respect. Yeah. I love Steel Panther.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go see Steel Panther in like a month.
Yeah, they're great.
They're great. It's just excuse me.
Ex Aegis. Is that we mentioned that? Ex Aegis?
So basically, Steel Panther and Ex Aegis.
Now, there's the Brothers Other good ones too. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to remember if some of these bands I'm thinking of are from America though. So I'm trying to remember if they are, but I know some of them are from America. But there's some good ones out there. This is say that if you sat down, if you gave me 20 minutes with the internet, I would find probably 10 great.
So we've got has Wings of Steel released anything?
Not recently, no.
New? They just did
the reason that's
5-song EP.
The reason that's happening is because there's not anybody backing it. So they're trying to find the money to do it, and it's and you have to do visual stuff. You can't just do audio and have people reach it. And it's just like, and it's very expensive to make that happen. And so without any label, even if you have a label, that's not going to be enough to do anything great.
Right, and if you had enough of your own money to invest into it, you wouldn't need a label.
Yeah, exactly.
Do it yourself,
and then you get all the money instead of whatever you get left over afterwards. You know what I mean? And so, I just think it's partially the fact that the reason it's so hard to find great new bands is just that there's not really anything actively pushing those. There's not like a organization or any place where the money's at. We're looking to say, let's push these new rock bands. It's opposite actually.
Well, just like Dave Bates told us, it's
Edge of Paradise. They're from America.
Yep, Edge of Paradise, right? Yep. Heaven's Edge. They're from America.
That's true.
Got to give a shout out to our friends.
What about Mark's band?
Oh, Nevayan. They're from America.
They're a great band.
They're from Sacramento, America.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, absolutely.
And if we go around the country, I'm sure there's a Nevayan in a lot of different places. That kind of killer band like that.
Got to give a shout out to the Possessed Bay Area thrash legends, but they're like a legacy band.
Yeah,
but you got to go check out Claudius shredding up in Possessed.
Yep, that's true. There's a bunch of different bands that are like in that kind of world. There's a lot of good music in America. It's not like it doesn't exist.
Oh well, sure. I just on a level.
Joe Holmes, we just talked about him. Yeah.
Right, but for like Saber Tiger strikes me as being like at least within the last decade, like newer band, right? Like I don't think they're
Hard Boys like that too. Hard Boys like that,
right, exactly from Thailand. Yeah, exactly. So like these are like the young people doing it, right?
Well, that's kind of what we're talking about though. But I think it makes me sad for our band and for every band, really, that the people feel like there's no great bands out there. It's like, yes, there are, guys. You just have to be a little bit more active in searching for those bands.
So I should refine it. I'm particularly inspired by a band of like one of our topics is going to be the Ozzy situation.
Yeah, we're heading there, but you're inspired by young
but
bands.
Like it's one thing when like guys our age are doing it, like that style.
Yeah, well, that's because we were kids, but we kind of we got fucked because of our age.
Yes, we did.
I mean? By the time that we were growing, we were supposed to be Korn. You know what I mean, or there's something like that. You know what I mean?
I don't want to be Korn.
That's why we didn't become Korn. So it's but that was people our age. We were supposed to be Korn or like Disturbed or something like that. That's what we were supposed to be.
You know what? I'm going to tug on this thread a little bit. You know what? Like. So think about this, you guys.
Yeah.
Like,
is it okay if I don't think about it? Can I forget tonight?
No, here we go. No, I'm going to start connecting the dots, everybody.
Okay.
All right. So, the American food system has been poisoned by sugar. Where does most of that sugar come from? High fructose corn syrup.
No, so it's
right?
all corn.
The corn lobby, right? What do stupid like new country rednecks like to sing about? Corn.
Well,
and trucks and corn truck
cereal. That's the one.
Right. And
it's got
then
with nutrients and such.
Right. Good. It's what plants crave. You gotta put some Brondo in your corn trucks, right? So that's strike number 2, right? Like, what's the common thread here? Corn.
Yeah.
And then, like, new metal and like, mainstream metal, like trying to suck in like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
Who was responsible?
Hinder.
Corn.
Yeah. Well, I'm always stunned.
So you know what? Maybe the corn lobby, like maybe they're the ones who like put forth the new like grunge radio format.
You're saying it goes all the way to the top, basically.
I think it does.
Yeah.
I think I figured it out, you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, someone book me on Joe Rogan.
Yeah, exactly.
I have this all figured out.
He is a genius.
I would listen to him about anything.
Oh, of course, and he totally knows his stuff too.
Right,
amazing,
expert.
Yeah.
So he already knows about the corn conspiracy, and maybe he's in on it because I haven't heard anyone else talk about it. Thanks for listening to Rock Guitar Confidential with Scott and Ryan. Please make sure to like, rate, and subscribe. Now back to the show.
I have to say, though, that corn is unique in that it's a staple grain that is actually native to the Americas. So we actually have to say that's very American. That's as American as it gets.
So the conspiracy goes all the way to the
back
roots
to the
of
Aztecs.
Back to the Aztecs.
So the
right.
mixolization that the Aztecs, kind of pioneered in making the corn more
So you're saying
more,
that
healthful was something that really is really the start of the corn, the band. They knew.
So I wonder if the Mayans disappeared like because of corn.
Yeah, probably. They knew Jonathan Davis was going to be rising his horrible head someday, and
like back when they were just like raising wheat and stuff.
Yeah.
Like
Don't do the nixtamalization. Well, you can't let corn rise in
when they were focused on wheat. At least they had like decent rock bands that sounded like Tesla.
Yeah, like Brian Wheat
with wheat on bass,
exactly,
right?
Exactly.
But when they switched to corn, right, the population got poisoned, and that's why
we did get poisoned though. That was good,
which was good.
Yeah,
Alice Cooper got in on that.
Yeah, it's true.
But yeah, so maybe that's why the Mayans disappeared.
Yeah, maybe could be. I think that's I
don't know.
It's as valid as any conspiracy I've heard on a podcast.
Exactly,
So,
it sure is. I'll have to ask my buddy Jason. He's a conspiracy curator.
Yes, exactly.
So I'll talk to him about
He's
that.
the curator of the Conspiracy Museum of Greater Sacramento.
Yes,
that makes sense. No, anyway, we want to talk about going in the dark belly of the beast now. Is that there's been an announcement recently, everyone probably has heard about this, that Black Sabbath is going to reunite for one more show. And when I heard about it, I heard all the bands, there's a lot of great bands who are going to be supporting, like almost every band you can think of is going to be supporting that. Even Jakey Lee is going to be there. Apparently he's going to be recovered enough from his injuries to be back up playing live, which is great. And
so do you think he's going to I wonder if him and Ozzy are going to chat backstage.
I hope so, because I hope that they can kind of bury the hatchet a little bit. But here's the thing, though. When I first heard about him, I'm like, okay, he must be well enough that he can go out there and do a set, and that's for one set in his hometown. I'm sure it's fine.
No,
then
he's not.
They came and told a lot later that he actually can't walk anymore. And I was talking to Ryan about this, and I was thinking, man, I don't know if my heart's ready to deal with wheelchair Ozzy. I don't know if I can handle that. You know what I mean? It's like wheelchair Phil Collins is already sad enough. Like, I can't imagine wheelchair Ozzy. Oh my God.
You know what was more sad was when Ozzy was on stage with Post Malone.
Well, that's always going to be sad. I mean,
and I mean, if anyone watches that performance, it's just Ozzy is just he's like sitting. Like, remember the first episode of Star Trek where like there's that big...
Is that the Captain Pike episode? This is
when like Captain Pike's in like the big black life support wheelchair unit thing.
Okay.
So like Ozzy was in like a booth. For some reason, it conjured that image, and he just like waved his arms around like wacky waving inflatable arm man on a car.
Wait, was
lot.
he trying to sell cars at a reasonable price? Because that would be okay. That's a very socially acceptable way to do that. Actually,
I mean, it's hard to do that in like a post Oprah world.
I guess that's true.
She just gave away a bunch of fucking cars. So like, how could you? If anyway, but So he was just like pinned down in the middle, like rear part of the stage for whatever the Ozzy Post Malone collab was. And like really all Ozzy did was kind of like wave his arms around.
Did he sing at all? Was there any like mic? Was he mic'd?
I don't think he sang a whole lot.
Huh.
It's been a while, so I could be
It's
wrong.
like 4 or 5 years ago, right?
Like I don't remember Ozzy singing. I just remember and I'm serious. And you know what? Let's pretend it wasn't Post Malone, which is hard to do, but pick some other sucky like artist.
Yeah, like Rihanna or something like that. Or
Rihanna can sing. I'm not going to knock Rihanna.
Yeah, but her music's garbage, though. I mean,
It's not as garbage as like other stuff could be.
Okay, that's true, but it's pretty terrible.
Dude, I mean, you could at least ostensibly go to a Rihanna show and hear Nuno Betancourt play live.
Yeah,
guitar.
but you can't hear that on the actual record. There's actually no guitars on the record at all.
Are you sure about that?
Yes, I'm sure about it. I've listened to a lot of Rihanna, dude. It's
really
it's all.
There's no guitar.
It's all bullshit, like synthesizer stuff. They wanted to add guitar for the live elements, make it a little bit more powerful. If that's what, which would be cooler. But like, why not put the guitar on the album?
And then the album would be more powerful.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't understand the logic.
Well, because that's rock, and it's not cool to be rock.
Interesting.
That's what it is. That's another reason I fucking hate Rihanna.
Well, hey, Lil Wayne's bringing it back.
Babe, I'll tell you that. Lil Wayne.
But but Rihanna can actually legitimately sing,
and she's easy on the eyes.
Which is why I'm not going to throw the stone at Rihanna. She's got pipes. She's a legitimate
her music
singer.
Is terrible though, dude. But yeah, Lady Gaga, the same thing. She can sing. She's talented, but her music's fucking terrible.
It's not terrible.
It's terrible.
It's
dude.
not terrible.
Yes, it is.
No,
it's like any other nonsense pop music. There's nothing there.
There's not all pop artists are created the same, but
I've listened to that shit. I've been trapped in cars for hours listening to this shit.
Oh,
yeah, trust me, it's terrible. It's a form of torture, a lot like water torture.
Dude,
you know what I mean?
You've never had a torturous trapped in car listening experience until you've been trapped on a drive like to Fresno with someone who's playing Kenny fucking Chesney.
I would take that in a heartbeat over Lady Gaga.
Oh, no, I would take Lady Gaga all day.
This is where you and I disagree, guys. I would rather listen to something with actual instruments and people really playing and singing rather than whatever Lady Gaga's doing.
Dude, you know what? I lost more brain cells on that drive than I ever...
Well, you work on the Fresno.
Than I ever... Right, no, I mean, it's a precipitous decline, right?
That was bound to happen, just like the zip code.
Dude, I almost threw myself out of the car on the 99. Yeah. Like, I might not be here today.
It's almost like you're listening to Metallica's Saint Anger album.
I'd rather listen to that. I'd rather listen to almost anything. I would have rather listened to Nails on a Chalkboard.
See, this is where
this is one of our Chesney.
This is the great X-ages schism between you and me. Is I would take New Country over any pop because there's actual musicians playing stuff and there's a chance of a guitar solo happening.
Well, Lady Gaga's an actual musician.
Yeah, but her music doesn't sound like it's an actual musician. It sounds like it's made in the computer and with a real person.
No,
singing.
she just composes on piano and then they use. I mean, I'm not anti-synth whatsoever.
But there's no musicianship whatsoever in that music. There's not like any breakdown where there's a guitar solo or a riff part happening. It's all just synth pads and pop hooks. That's all it is. You know what I mean? And drum loops. Not even fucking drums. Okay,
yeah,
okay, I mean, I'll give you that. A fucking drummer. You know what I mean? I'll get
not on the album. He doesn't. I guarantee you, all that's ghosted.
It's not ghosted.
I guarantee it's ghosted.
At least the ones I've heard, it's actual drumming.
I'm sure it's good.
Dude, those dudes in Nashville they take that shit for real.
No,
those guys are real drummers, real bass players, real piano players.
I agree, but I bet you
real fiddle players, real steel guitar players.
But I guarantee the drums are on the album release or program.
They're triggered, but they're not. It's not a drum program. There's no way.
I bet there's step input involved in time correction.
Well, someone can out there. We're not going to do this because we're incredibly lazy and it doesn't matter. But someone check that.
But you know what? I know. This is where we need a producer for the podcast, right? Well, you know what? Keep telling your friends and downloading the podcast, everybody, because we need to afford a producer.
Yes, and then this will be even greater than you can imagine. This podcast will take the new heights.
If you want the podcast to improve, then we need to spread the word, and we will reinvest.
Yes, and the word is X-ages.
Yes, right. But yeah, you know what? Like, I don't care what the music is in the background. If I have to hear Kenny Chesney sing about I'm saying my prayers at night and dip my toes in the sand. And life was good today. And derp fucking derp. Derpy fucking derp.
You know what's funny? Whenever I hear like Lady Gaga or anything of that ilk, that kind of music, like Sabrina Carpenter, you name any whoever pop princess person it is, my brain just like instantly just tones out. I'm like, oh, I can't. I'm just gonna go to a happy place in my brain and just ignore this music entirely. I should say music entirely. You know, in my head, I'm hearing like Judas Priest Painkiller or something.
I mean, look, that would of course always be more rad, but, okay, so at least Lady Gaga
She's talented. I'm not saying she's
Right.
not talented. She can sing. She's a great singer. She's a great performer. I'm not taking anything away. Her music is just terrible. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
And her music is not about the celebration of ignorance and stupidity.
Okay, I see that. But it's also not about anything. It's about going to the club, dancing at the club,
Great.
chilling at the club.
I used to love going to dance clubs.
See,
I'm all for it.
I've always thought that was just as annoying as a Kenny Chesney song is.
I have a deep and abiding love for 80s synth pop.
I like that stuff too. It's real musicians playing that.
Right.
Yep. Pet Shop Boys actually played guitars and keyboards and drums and bass.
A little bit, but so Pet Shop Boys music was programmed on Fairchild CMI.
Sure, like some of the drums, right? Yeah.
Like all of it, the synths. So everyone can like look it up.
But somebody had to write the music though. It wasn't like it was like now where you just like chord progressions down for you, and just like drag them over. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. No, that's true. That's exactly true. So the way a Fairchild CMI stands for Computer Musical Instrument.
Yeah.
And,
almost like MIDI, like MIDI musical instrument interface, digital
little
interface.
Bit. So imagine a keyboard. Well, MIDI is like a communication protocol.
The acronym. The acronym. Yeah.
Right. Totally. Yeah. I people used to come into the store and ask for. Do you have a keyboard that does M1D1? Or Might I? Like that was.
If you want to get technical.
Yeah, those were fun days. But the Fairchild CMI, it's a
Peter Gabriel was famous for using that too.
Yes.
Back in the day.
Peter Gabriel used it. Pet Shop Boys.
That's kind of what made that modern
Holly Knight
80s,
composed on
80s
one
kind of sound. That kind of
Yeah, so imagine like a green screen CRT monitor, like imagine like an Apple IIe attached to like a keyboard.
Yeah.
Or and so but when if you were
it was like what we would think of as like a plug-in now, but they had like to do more stuff.
Yeah, I think there is a Fairchild CMI plug-in.
But I mean, it was like an early version of a plug-in, sort of like
the earliest, right?
Yeah.
So you
caveman like cave drawing version of it. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So it would take very short samples, right? So like think about like Stacey Hugh and like the I need you, right?
Yeah.
That line. So like that's a vocal that's sampled and then mapped to a keyboard and then played, right? The other way you could do use a fair. We'll have to get Rich.
I know the
Shepherd on the
drum
podcast.
loops thing was a big deal. That was like one of the early ways of getting like the drums to sound a certain way. That
Yeah.
like mid late 80s kind of
Right, yeah. They
that very
programmed that in.
Fairchild, yeah.
And you'd get like a notation staff on this analog CRT, and you could actually plug in the note values on the staff and then map it to like a sound. So,
But you still understand what note values are and how to like understand notes on the
Correct.
staff back then. So you actually had to
That's
still be
right.
a real musician.
Yep,
You know what I mean?
bingo,
Yeah.
exactly. It wasn't like a plugin that's like, okay, this plugin will show you like a bunch of chord options for your next chord
Here's
progression
6
that you
chord
already used off a loop.
progressions. Yeah, and then here's the drum loop that goes with that.
And then here's a chord that would work for this, or, where it does all the like work for you. Like I hate watching those ads where there's like some dude's keyboard and then it plays like, like B flat 13 and he's like, that's the bomb. Yeah, now my track's awesome.
Not your track, dude. You didn't do anything.
You didn't do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But they don't get that. It's like the people who like take cuts in movies and they do like a different cut with the same footage and they call it like their own official work or something. It's like, no, that existed before.
Right. Well, then, and now enter AI.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, so the Fairchild CMI wasn't that. So yeah, synth stuff can be cool.
No, I don't have a problem. Look, as long as it's done by musicians, I don't have a problem with it. What I don't like is what we're talking about. Like it was just drag and drop. It's just all done for you. Here's the loops. Here's the bass part. You just have to drag with your mouse and put it in the spot. You know what I mean? I just fucking hate that so much. Like you've got to actually put some effort to be a real musician.
No, I totally agree. And your music shouldn't like encourage the celebration of stupidity. So if anyone out there, like I know, since anyone who's listening has got to be extremely intelligent and have like the most
only
highly
the
refined
finest
taste.
people who exist listen to this podcast.
Right? But if you have any stupid friends.
World's
just
full of those, my friend.
Just tell them it's okay. You're supposed to be ashamed for being stupid.
You shouldn't revel in it. I know.
And you're supposed to work hard to become less stupid.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, the stupid as that is, I respect the shit out of those Nashville cats. Those guys who are the players who play the guitars and play the drums and play the bass,
Sure,
and play
I
the
do
keyboards
too.
and help write the songs in Nashville.
Yeah.
Those guys are the real deal. So they might put the face of Kenny Chesney on it, but there's a whole group of people behind them who are actually really doing the work. Kenny Chesney's just the face to put on a lunchbox. You know what I mean?
It's just a shitty, dumb lunchbox.
But I get it. But that being said, behind that is something real, though. There's like real musicians doing
But then
stuff.
inside the lunchbox is is a pile of shit. Imagine if you went to school and all day long you're like looking forward to your PB&J, and then you open up your Kenny Chesney lunchbox, and then it's like, oh, mom packed me shit.
But there isn't. There's real chord changes,
Right?
real dynamics. There's real solos in that music. I've listened. There's some great guitar solos in country music.
I'll tell you what. I had a student of mine ask me to teach them a George Strait tune.
Back in the old days.
Well, I mean, the old days being like the 90s. This is about the same time that
Like Dwight Yoakam and that kind of thing was around that time, right? Wasn't that Dwight? And then who's the other guy? Oh my God.
So
the guy with that. It's not going to help.
the guy with the cowboy hat? The guy with the cowboy hat that sang about like being dumb.
What the hell is that dude's name? I'm trying to think of the guy. He's like big '90s country guy.
It was
He got the blonde hair and the
Stevie
mustache.
Bill.
No,
It was Bob William.
I can't remember his name.
I'm just going through first name combinations.
He did the thing with Jimmy Buffett. Who's the guy who did the collab with Jimmy Buffett? It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
I already hate it.
I'm trying to think what it is. I can't remember his name.
I already hate it.
I can't believe it's Yokel McYokelson. I think it's
Yeah, right. Thank you, Yokel McYokelson. That's right. So where was I going with this? So George Strait.
Okay.
So yeah. So this is like I think it's like early '90s kind of stuff, like '92 to '94. It's
yeah, I know.
I mean, it's
Clint Black was big at that time, right?
It's hokey as all fuck.
Sure.
Like he's talking about like picking up on women in a bar. I think the song's called "Can I Buy You a Drink?" But like the chorus goes. He has this like, so imagine like
back then he was like a middle-aged guy. He was like 50,
Right.
55, something like that. Yeah.
Not even. I think he was maybe 40s.
Oh, I thought he
or
was
younger.
Okay.
I mean, it's early 90s,
Yeah,
right?
okay.
So he's so like the line is, so he's got his like, his eyebrow cocked, like he's in the bar.
Okay.
Like he's gonna pick up, and like one of the lines is no, it's called the chair. That's my chair. I don't know. So it's about him picking up on chicks. And so, like, one of the lines...
I have no inherent disagreement with that. I mean, that's fine.
No, me neither.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what people used to do.
Before they just TikTok
we all
each
used
other.
to do it when we
Yeah.
had to go out in public and meet other people when we were single.
That is dark time, man.
It's
archaic.
It was that was the Wild West, folks.
Yeah.
Anyway, so his line is, with his eyebrow cocked, "Can I drink you a bye?" I'm like, oh, he reversed the words. That's so clever.
Because he's kind of drunk. And
and then she thinks it's charming.
Oh.
So like the lyrics are awful.
she's like, "You're the most sophisticated man I've ever seen."
The lyrics are awful, but the band can play, right?
Everybody back then could play. I mean, it was standard. You had to be a good musician to be able to play it back then.
It's like it's a 2/5, and I forget what the third chord in the progression is, but it's it's not bad. But in the bridge section of the song, like they use a diminished bridge.
That's cool.
So I'm just like, cool. There's that one little nugget of like something interesting.
Well, those guys actually were
in
all
this song,
musicians back in the
and
days,
they're actually playing. Like that recording is them actually playing.
Yep.
It's not the drums aren't triggered. I mean, it's an authentic recording.
I have no problem with drum triggers.
Neither do I. We
mean,
did it on X Aegis.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to paint the picture of this is an analog recording.
Yeah,
right?
everything was back then. Well, it was probably early digital.
Early digital,
Yeah,
but like I mean, So I mean, these are these players' performances, right? So I'm cool with that. Like musically speaking, I think the aesthetic is. I fucking despise all of it, but I can find myself in the music and the musicianship, and that makes it interesting.
That's the only thing about new country that I have any kind of respect for at all is that there's actually musicians playing. You
No,
know
there's
what
not.
There are, dude.
Listen to Nate Smith.
I don't know who Nate Smith is.
I'll play it on the podcast.
But
it's ultimate
but if
garbage.
you listen to other stuff, you definitely trust me. I have to transcribe this stuff for people. It's like
me
there's
too.
real guitar playing, there's real solos, there's real stuff happening. I mean,
okay, what about I just had to do
even Jelly Roll, the fucking freaking Jelly Halfway to Heaven or whatever it is. I've had to transcribe that. It's got slide guitar in it. It's actually got real players.
That's
real drums. You can tell they're real drums. It's bass. There's like organ. It sounds like a real band. You know what I mean?
I'll tap out on Jelly Roll because I don't have any firsthand experience.
I've had to transcribe 2 Jelly Roll songs in the last 2 weeks, and then actually there's real guitar playing.
Okay, I'll see your Jelly Roll and I'll raise you one Luke Bryan.
Okay, well,
and it's awful.
But
man.
I've actually sat and transcribed Luke Bryan solos too. There's solos in this stuff too. You know what I mean? So there's actually guitar playing happening. There's real guitar playing happening.
But you have to listen to the first 2/3 of Shit Sandwich to get to the solo.
I don't care about what they're singing about, and I feel like that's just my general blanket statement for about any vocals. I don't give a shit about what they're singing about.
And I generally don't care about the vocals, but I know there's the whole like
Yokel McYokelson,
the whole aesthetic.
Yeah, I get you. I just can't. But see, the thing is, I have equally this disdain for the nonsense of the like the synth pop sort, not synth pop, like the modern pop princess sort of Katy Perry, Lady Gaga, Sabrina Carpenter. There's nothing on any level. There's nothing in the vocals that matter. There's nothing. There's not any real vocals happening. There's not any real musicianship happening.
With Lady Gaga, there is.
Yes, but everybody else, no. And Lady Gaga's music sucks. That's the thing. She can sing and she can write. Why don't they let her actually sing and write? Like they make her. Everything's got to be electrified. Everything's like freaking samples, and her voice is the only thing that saves anything that makes it feel like anything musical happening at all.
Okay,
at least in country, there's like a real band playing, and there's actually guitars and solos and stuff.
But as Pearl Jam has shown us, if there's a real band playing and they suck and represent,
I will stand by this. Any new country artist I've heard recently is better than Pearl Jam. They're better than Pearl Jam. The Pearl Jam sucks ass in every way.
You know, that's tough.
No, the guitar players in those country bands are much better. I promise you.
Okay, I'll get. I think Brad Paisley's an awesome guitar player, and I would love to hang out with the guy and talk music and learn guitar stuff.
Play all kinds of music.
Absolutely,
he's not like a one-trick pony by any stretch.
Killer guitar player, right? He is so killer that I can like ignore the hokiness of the Brad Paisley.
I get the feeling with Brad Paisley, he would have been a rocker had it been okay to be a rocker when he
he would have been a star in like old Nashville.
Maybe. I think he grew up listening to Van Halen just like you and me. I mean, I think he would have been like in a rock band. Same with Bonamassa. Bonamassa probably would have been in like a real rock band had he not grown up and come up when he did.
Well, he is in a real rock band.
Well, he is, but that took a while to get there. You know what I mean? Yeah, but he kind of made his bones as I'm the blues guy. You know, I wear a suit when I play live.
But if you listen to like auto-tuned, like it's one riff the whole entire song, like everything's auto-tuned to hell, Nate Smith, it's garbage.
I've never heard Nate Smith, but I mean, I'm sure I've heard Luke Bryan songs. I know what you're talking about. I remember one time a student brought
it's all auto-tuned, one riff the whole. There's only one three-chord progression for like 3.5 minutes.
But dude, I remember one time someone brought in I don't remember what song it was, like 10 years ago. It was a Luke Bryan song.
Well, I mean, they're all the same song.
And I remember there's one I just transcribed recently that had some cool acoustic guitar going on and stuff. It was pretty cool. I mean, from a musical standpoint, it was cool. But like I remember thinking, oh, cool, at least it's country. There'll be guitar in this. So there'll be something we can kind of do. Because when someone brings like a rap song, it's like, hey, there's a rap song. I'm like, okay, there's no music here. What am I going to do?
I've been through that.
But I'm like, okay, at least there'll be some guitars. I can teach them some chord changes and stuff like that.
Right, we can get a foothold on the side of the mountain.
Yeah,
yep, I get that.
But then I listened and I listened and I listened, and like we got like maybe a minute and a half in the song, and there was no guitar. It was all keyboards and drum. I'm like, wait, is this like a Katy Perry song? There's like nothing here. It's like, and I was blown away. I'm like, this is country. Country's supposed to have like mandolins and steel guitars and acoustic electric guitars. I was like, what is this? It was like a real turning the corner. I was like, so even in country, you don't have to have guitar anymore? What the fuck? You know what I mean?
I mean, there's like real artists out there that are like, like Tedeschi Trucks, I guess, is a little bit more blues, but there's
kind of an Allman Brothers,
kind of an Allman Brothers kind of thing, like Southern rock. Yeah, like if you like people listen to
Bonnie Raitt's like that too. Bonnie Raitt's like that,
and she's bluesy also. Yeah,
blues,
Bonnie Raitt's
R&B,
awesome.
country.
God, there's another band that. By
the way, all these are real musicians. Though. There's bands we're talking about, and there's bands that anybody under 20 has never heard of. So that's right. You know, I mean, that's part of it right there. I guess what I'm railing against is that the music that everybody listens to now, that's the most popular, is the music that is the least featuring any kind of musicianship. You know what I mean? And I think that's really, that's why I think the ukulele thing popped up for a while, because like people thought, well, you don't have to actually play real instruments. We'll just play ukulele.
Well, I mean, people hopped on the ukulele bandwagon because they thought it was easy.
I guess, but it's also there's a couple artists like Jason Mraz and and a few people kind of have these dumb pop songs that they're strumming away.
Well, I mean, Israel Kamakaweweole.
Oh my God! Good job! Woo!
Thank you.
Got to give Ryan some major props for pronouncing that very difficult name. I would just call him because I would not even dare. I would never even dare approach the mountain. You just claimed. That was amazing.
I just clown. Yeah, well, but yes, I just gave praise to Pele by correctly pronouncing his name. But he was just his own bespoke artist, and he did Over the Rainbow, and it became a hit. And you know what? Like his interpretation is pretty great, right?
I have no problem with it. It's just,
no problem at all.
And then Jason Mraz, I'm Yours, was all ukulele stuff like that too. And there's a couple other artists around that same time that had that good ukulele.
So Jason Mraz, there's a pop artist who's talented. I mean,
but he's more in the vein of like a John Mayer. So he's not as good as John Mayer, but he's like in that vein of that. He's like a real guitar player, a real musician.
He annoys me less than John Mayer.
John Mayer is so much better.
I just find John Mayer so off-putting.
I
don't know
awesome.
what it is.
I'm a
I don't know
giant
what
fan of John Mayer. I love John Mayer's playing. I think he's
I
killer.
can't put my finger on it. There's just something like I don't know. I'm just not interested.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. He's a great talent.
Yeah,
absolutely,
I
no
love John
doubt.
Mayer.
So I'm not.
I'm a huge fan of Johnny Resnick too from the Goo Goo Dolls. I think he's a great songwriter too. So it's I have a soft spot for that kind of music. That sort of like
Shit, we need to get Jeffrey back on the program to talk about Goo Goo Dolls.
I'm not going to encourage that, but let's let's just say that like I feel like that I feel like there's actually some ethic. There's like some real songwriting. Those guys actually played in bands. You can tell like when an artist like played in clubs and stuff. You know that at some point they were playing clubs and doing this stuff. Yep. Like when I hear like Sabrina Carpenter, it's like okay, she probably got in a child acting when she was like 9. Got a bunch of headshots and then agent who got her on some TV show, and then now she's just basically just a fabricated thing. There's not. She didn't go in and play the clubs and whatnot. You know what I mean?
Wait. Is Sabrina Carpenter? Is she Espresso? Is that her hit song?
I have no idea. The only that terrible one I hear all the time in the gym. You know what it's called?
I forget.
Yeah, she just won a Grammy, I think. So if I'm not mistaken. So, but anyway, I didn't know this, but she apparently is like some kind of like Nickelodeon or Disney Channel star. I didn't know this.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, Disney's been abusing the culture for decades.
But I had no idea. I'm like, where are these people keep coming from? Like, where are these like babe pop princesses like just keep popping out every like 6 months? What's going on?
Well,
apparently they're coming from Disney. They're like Disney Channel stars.
Go back to like Annette Funicello with the Musketeers.
I guess
right?
so. Yeah. By the way, that's from way back in the olden days, guys. Annette Funicello. Anybody over 40 probably has an idea who that is. Anybody?
I mean, if you just want to trace the pop print, like Disney feeding us
Britney Spears, right? She was a Musketeer or whatever. I mean, that's It's crazy, man. That I remember thinking like, oh, that makes sense. Like, I'm like, where do these people keep coming from? Like, where did these like pop princesses just keep? What conveyor belt is? What factory is kicking them out?
Okay, it's Sabrina Carpenter. Yeah. So Espresso is her hit. You know what? I actually just showed a kid how to play that.
Sorry, Ryan.
I asked. No, you know what? It was fun. Like, it's got a cool.
Alan Jackson. The guy with the hat is Alan Jackson. God, it just came to me.
the guy with the cowboy hat
was Alan Jackson. That's who I was thinking of.
Wow. All right. Nice.
It just appeared to me as if in a dream.
So you know what? I'll tell you what. At least about that Espresso tune by Sabrina Carpenter. Right, so it's got a cool Latin feel to it.
Yeah,
right. There's a melody in it, right? I was able to teach. So I asked my student, what he was listening to, and he was embarrassed. He was like, I don't want to tell you. And I was like, dude, it's fine. It's just just tell me whatever it is. It's cool as long as it's not Nirvana. We're fine.
As long as that's the line you can't cross.
Yeah, right, totally. And he's like, well, it's Sabrina Carpenter. I mean, I think I like the video because she's hot.
Yeah, that's why.
And I was like, dude, that's fucking great. Let's check it out. Let's see if she's hot.
Get totally naked, dude. All right. Yeah.
Woo! I mean, he's a teenager. I'm not gonna be like, fuck you for that. Yeah. Like, I mean, he's a normal teenager, right?
If we're really honest, that's why Sabrina Carpenter has a career, because she's hot. That's
totally. But you know what? The song's written by professional songwriters. It's got like a Latin groove to it, and it's got a really cool little like, melodic hook, little melodic tag, right?
Yeah.
So you know what? So my job now is to draw a line from Espresso, like, all the way to like Al Di Meola and like Otmar Liebert and Lita Negra.
That's very, very much like ambitious right there.
We'll get there.
Take a kid from Sabrina Carpenter.
No, kid's super smart. He practices, right?
Okay,
this was one of those like.
Do you think it's a situation like he just hasn't been exposed to it? Is that pretty much what you think it is? Like that's why he's not a fan of that stuff. He's just never heard it.
It isn't that he's not. There's nothing that he's not a fan of. It was just a casual. I always ask.
He's not been exposed to Al Di Meola, is what I'm trying to say. Like, so if you.
Well, yeah, like most people haven't, right?
Yeah.
But I know, like, that's where I'm like making the connection here, and I would much rather listen to pop music that's got like a Latin flavor to it than anyone going derp a toes in the sand.
Yeah, but the thing that I despise about it though is that it's got that melodic hook. And that's all it has. That's
a big truck with a flag.
But when he stops
back,
singing, then you have a riff on a slide, and then cool solos that are played by real guitar players, and then comes back to his dumb whatever he's singing about. But at least there's real musicians playing real music in that. You know what I mean?
So there's the thing that I'm missing though, because whenever I have to. assassinate part of my soul and listen to a Jason Aldean song, or listen to
It's way more the brain cells that take the brunt of that one. Yeah.
Well, because there's no such thing as a soul. But anyway, listen.
Well, I mean, that's just the part that's going to get destroyed is the brain cells.
Right.
Yeah, it's like
totally.
coughing pain or something.
Right. And again, I've already lost brain cells due to the Chesney incident of 2000. You can
only do so much before you become completely incapacitated.
Right. This is this is your brain.
I'm not ready for wheelchair Ryan, man. Let's not go wheelchair Ryan.
Right. This is your brain. This is your brain on Chesney. Right. That should be a PSA.
That's
so when I like the Nate Smith song, there's no cool fucking guitar solo.
Well, you're not listening to the right country. The stuff I've been exposed to has got some cool guitar stuff. Like really cool, like stuff I would think of. Dude, if this wasn't country, this would be really cool.
Really? Well, I'll let you know if that happens. I mean,
check out the Jelly Roll tune, man. I'm telling you, like the Halfway to Heaven, and then there's there's also a Luke Combs song called "Ain't No Love in Oklahoma" that's got a really cool like slide riff in it and stuff.
If a student requests it, I'll let you know. But
I mean, there's stuff that's actually cool guitar parts. Actually, legitimately, I'm not even caveat. Like really cool guitar parts in those stuff.
Cool. I hope someone requests that someday.
I'm just grateful for that because that's the only thing that's in the pop culture that your average person is likely to listen to or hear or be exposed to just in pop culture that actually has real people playing real music, real instruments going on. There's the only place there is that exists in pop culture, mainstream pop culture, where there's actual musicians happening.
But it's so sad. It's like it's wrapped. It's in a like you should be proud to be dumb rapper.
But it's got. Looks, if some kid hears the Jelly Roll song and hears that cool slide riff in the solo and thinks, "Man, I gotta start playing electric guitar," win. That's a win.
I agree. That's an
because they're not going to hear like Wings of Steel because they're not going to listen to Wings of Steel. They're not going to come across Wings of Steel, but they are going to come across Jelly Roll because he's doing the freaking Twister soundtrack or whatever, and they're going to hear that song. And they're going, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Though that's the only place that someone's going to happen across some kind of guitar music in pop music in popular culture. That's not going to happen. They're not going to find Hard Boy. They're not going to find that. You have to be a metal fan who's looking for that to find that.
Yes, and that's what I love about metal is that metal is forever.
Yeah, it's true.
It's a subculture, but it's forever.
Also, Diamond's forever as well, famously.
King Diamond's forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Man, I can't top that. So before we wrap things up, I got to give a special shout out to my good buddy and awesome student, Dan Zanelli.
Oh, wow. Naming names. Holy crap.
Yeah, I'm naming names.
Everyone start stealing identities now.
Because not only did he give me the kick-ass stained glass X Aegis logo for the studio.
It is really awesome. Yeah.
It is so awesome.
Yeah, we have a stained glass X Aegis logo.
Ooh, you said stained class like Judas Priest.
Yeah,
it was a great Freudian slip.
It's a Freudian slip. It's great, but it's beautiful. Yeah,
yeah. I love it. It's awesome. It makes me regret the sun being out less. So
it's yet another reason we don't have to go to see the Sistine Chapel, though. It's not we have everything.
It's superior,
yeah, exactly,
in every way, shape, and form.
Yet another reason we don't have to do that.
Yes. So and hopefully the studio doesn't burn down. Well, no, it was the Sistine Chapel's fine.
No, Notre Dame burned
down. Yeah. Okay. Well, so we're cool.
But it's back actually now, so it's actually being rebuilt.
That would be, it's like going to like the Winchester Mystery House and you go into like a room and they tell you that it's been like renovated. I instantly feel like it's less cool.
Okay.
Like I'm like an if walls could talk kind of person. Like I want to stand next to that like load supporting beam that was there. Like
actually, I have. I ate lunch in the courtyard of Notre Dame in Cathedral in Paris. So I've done that. That was really fun.
Nice. How was that?
It was cool. Dude, walking around freaking Seine and then sitting down and having lunch. And the courtyard of Notre Dame.
The cul-de-sac.
Yeah, it was. There's like a big courtyard there. You can sit down under a tree and stuff. It was really cool. Yeah, I mean, dude, Pont Neuf and
Rad. How was the bird shit situation?
It was non-existent, dude. It was
nice.
Incredible. Yeah, there's like really cool stuff. Like if you go under Notre Dame, there's these little like tunnels around it. It's really cool.
Did you get to see like some corpses of dead monks?
No, I did walk through the Tower of London though, and there's a lot of cool like medieval armor and stuff in there. It's really pretty cool.
Rad. Do they have like torture devices and stuff?
Yeah, for sure.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so cool.
I just actually recently found out that was the inspiration for the movie Highlander. I didn't know that. Apparently,
really?
I guess the guy who wrote Highlander, the first movie, like he went at the Tower of London and he saw the stuff that was down there. I'm like, yeah, I know exactly what he's talking about. And apparently that was the inspiration. Like, what if you were a person who lived forever and you had like used this stuff and you could talk to people? I remember when I used this, and that's kind of what the germ of the idea came from.
That's awesome. So what's your favorite torture device?
I'd say listening to Lady Gaga.
Right. Again, Chesney is worse.
I don't
I'm
agree with
telling
you. You and I will. This is the great schism of exages right here. Speaking of the
man.
church.
So another shout out to Dan Zanelli.
Thank you so much, Dan.
Yes, thank you, Dan, for the stained glass, but also thank you for the basketball game last night. Dan's a devoted listener.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Yes, the Kings just put the hurt on the Charlotte Hornets.
And dude, we were 3 seats back from the court.
Oh, get out of here!
Mid court last.
I'll
night.
look for. I haven't watched the game yet. I'll look.
Dude, you'll see me and Dan.
That's
like,
so cool. Dude,
like we're like every possession you can see us on TV.
That is so cool.
Yeah, but man, so yeah, he got us these VIP tickets, and
Got to see Zach LaVine go off for the first time. Really, you know.
Yeah, dude.
Man.
Like Vivek Ranadive walked like as far away as you are to me across this table. Like Vivek Ranadive walked like right past me.
Did you at least shout out like sponsor our podcast?
Dude,
like
well, no,
please just shout it out, man. That's how it works.
I almost yelled "sell the team," but I didn't.
He's fine. He can do a lot worse than we had. Moose. We had worse than, you know what I mean. It's
well, basketball talk could take us for another hour or so. But anyway, so we were like court level to get to our seats.
That's rad, dude.
Dude, I gotta
I've been
show
to a
you.
couple Kings games recently. I was up in the rafters, man. So it's.
I gotta show you the pictures. They're wild. Like
so cool.
I mean, I've been to a ton of NBA games.
Yeah, me too.
Kings and some other teams. Right. I went and saw the Celtics in Boston years ago.
Oh wow.
But
we could probably just see them here in Sacramento when they can play the Kings. I mean,
yes, I just happened
to travel to Boston for that. That's
right. I happen to already be in.
You're
Boston,
like, I don't see either way, but the travel to Boston.
Yeah, right. Boston's a great city. And we could get into that later too. But
there's pros and cons spots.
So Dan got us the best seats I've ever had at a sporting event.
That is awesome, man. What a great
It is awesome, dude. It's wild because from that perspective, you know, the basketball court's as big as the basketball court at your high school gym.
Yeah.
It's just that there's these like 7-foot guys that are elite athletes, like moving with like insane quickness and precision. Like I mean,
you're right there watching like a couple feet away. That's amazing. You know what I mean?
It is amazing, dude. It's definitely.
Well, that's why sports is great. The people who do whatever
most sports.
No, I mean if you look at anybody who's like an elite athlete, whether it be Olympic sports or baseball, football, basketball, soccer, you name it. There's elite stuff going down.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the stuff that there's only so many people who've ever done that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to have a certain level of crazy athleticism, especially in basketball. To do that stuff. It's insane. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was wild. So we got to go in through like the VIP entrance, so we didn't have to wait in line.
Does he have season tickets or something? Like, what was the occasion?
I think he bought them from his boss, or his boss offered them to.
So they have
his boss
the company has tickets or something like that. Yeah.
But I shit you not, like just about center court,
That's
like
rad.
on the side behind the team benches.
That's so cool. You hear like Malik and Domas talking and stuff, you know.
Yeah, so there's courtside, there's the row behind it, then there's the walkway, and then there's us.
Oh, that's so cool.
So we were at the very, very bottom. It was the bottom most lower bowl.
Could you hear Mark Jackson doing the call?
Yeah, I could hear Doug Christie coaching the team, like
that's so cool.
shouting out like orders and plays and stuff.
That's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it was something else, right? So DeMar DeRozan is taller than I.
He's like
perceived
6'8" or something like that. 6'7"?
Something like that, but like I never perceived him as being like as tall. Like some of these guys, they're tall.
I think Malik's like 6'4", I want to say, right?
But also tall. So now, I mean, for those listening, I'm 6'2", so that's like the smallest NBA point guard.
Yep. People say Steph Curry's so small; he's 6'3".
Yeah, so
he's so tiny. Look at how small he is.
Right. So bitch ass baby Steffi.
Well, De'Aaron was 6'3" too. So I mean.
Yeah. Well, bitch ass De'Aaron too now.
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah. No, dude. He moped and like helped the team lose games.
Now he gets to lose games for the San Antonio Spurs.
That's totally fine, and I hope they fucking lose.
Yeah. Well, they got Wembanyama next year. They'll be okay. But I mean,
and I hope Wembanyama heals because that blood clot thing's serious.
Yeah.
I have no beef with Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah.
And actually, generally, I like the Spurs. I just don't like how De'Aaron Fox forced his way out of Sacramento. Yeah, he wasn't a team player.
You know what he gets for that is he gets to go lose games for the Spurs and be
the
Robin to Wembanyama's Batman. You know what I mean?
Well, but I mean that means they could become like a championship caliber team.
Maybe.
I mean, San Antonio is a well-run organization. I hope Greg Popovich gets well.
Yeah, he's
not
one of the
all-time
great coaches.
All-time great coaches. Yeah. Like San Antonio is one of those perennial winning teams like to not despise.
Yeah.
Like if it's a toss-up between like the Lakers and anybody, you want anybody to win. Oh, and I had to sit next to a Lakers fan last night who was rooting for Charlotte. He bought the ticket because he
Just
wanted
root against the Kings, basically.
He was a LaMelo Ball fan, which I respect. It's cool to follow a player and stuff. And Charlotte's not the Lakers or the Warriors.
So he had like a Lakers LaMelo Ball jersey. Is that what it was?
No, you know what? Props to him. No jersey. You know, actually, cool guy. He's a correctional officer, and he got his ticket secondhand for like it was like a $440 ticket.
Do you have a Shiv guy in prison to get it? Like, he's got tickets to the Kings game. Shiv. Yeah.
I don't know who that prisoner would be, but yeah.
He wasn't thought out. Like, I'll have a King ticket. Oh, this is great. Wait,
Right.
that's why I'm in prison.
I'll sell his organs to those smugglers for a Kings ticket. Maybe that's how that would work.
I'll get
I
paid
don't know.
only in Kings tickets from this correctional facility.
Jesus.
Perfect.
Yeah,
All right, we gotta wrap it up.
So anyway, so it was cool.
Hey, guys.
he was a Lakers. I was happy to see his favorite player get smashed right next to me. So it was a great
Come
experience.
for the wheelchair Ozzy. Stay for the basketball talk. The basketball and Kings talk.
Absolutely.
That's,
Again, big thank you to Dan Zanelli. Thank you, Dan. You're awesome.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening to the Rocky Talk Confidential podcast with Ryan and Scott. Please make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast. If you want more information about Ryan and I and our band, X Aegis, please check out our website at xaegisband.com.
That's www.exaegisband.com.
Good. There you'll find links to our social medias. Please follow us on social media so you can find out all the latest about what's going on with the podcast and with our band. And we'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for listening.
Peace.